Hello and welcome to This Week at the Movies. My name is Matt, and we have a jam packed Easter holiday weekend. Couple of big releases in theaters, a big streaming release, and a couple of smaller releases that I saw this week that I want to talk about. But let's dive in with probably the biggest movie of the weekend. This one launched actually on Wednesday, the Super Mario Galaxy movie. This one a follow-up to the Mario Brothers movie from 2023. We have a lot of the same voice cast. Chris Pratt is back as Mario. We have Anya Taylor-Joy back as Princess Peach, Charlie Day as his brother Luigi, and of course Jack Black as Bowser. But you know what? We expand the universe a lot here as well. We get Glenn Powell popping up as Fox McCloud, kind of a cool pilot. We get Brie Larson as Princess Rosalina, who has a big role here. We introduce Yoshi into the world of the films. He's voiced by Donald Glover. And of course, we have Bowser's son, Bowser Jr., who ends up being the kind of big bad here, played by Benny Safdie, or voiced by Benny Safdie. Look, these are ultimately kids movies. The first one made a ton of money at the movie theaters, and I expect that this one is also going to make a ton of money. And I get it is a very family friendly crowd pleaser. You know, you have the Easter holiday weekend for a lot of places. They're on spring break this week leading up to Easter or the week leading after Easter, so it's a good time to launch this. Big animated films always do well. I enjoyed Hoppers, which came out kind of at the beginning of March. Now we're getting one here. We'll get some more in the summer. I get the idea. And there are some shout outs and some nostalgia baiting things in here. They recreate some classic video game sequences. Mario Brothers, the video game, is 40 years old. Going to be turning 41 this year. Came out in 1985. I'm a child of the 80s. I remember playing Mario Brothers on Nintendo. So those kind of things, those work. Those are aimed at the adults, trying to give them something. Ultimately, I just didn't think there was a lot of story or a lot of there. This kind of feels like an extended video game cut sequence in a lot of spots, and that's not terrible. Again, I was in a mixed audience that had a lot of younger viewers who were geeking out over things. I think kids 10 and under, this is really going to be their jam. It's about the right length. It's got all these kind of eye-popping things. They're going to make more of these. I'm giving this one a mild thumbs down from a cinematic standpoint. I don't think this brought a lot to the animated genre. I don't think it's probably going to end up in the 5 nominated for an Academy Award. But if you're just looking for a good time with your kids on this long holiday weekend, you could do worse than the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It is really not going to be offensive. It should pull everyone in. That is not true of the other big release this weekend, which is the A24 film The Drama. This one coming from writer-director Christopher Borgli. It features Robert Pattinson and Zendaya as a young, very much in love couple. At the beginning, we kind of see flashbacks and highlights of their relationship as they're approaching the week of their wedding. It's a very exciting time. Charlie, Robert Pattinson's character, is working on his wedding speech. Emma, played by Zendaya, working on her speech, meeting with her girlfriends. They're both very excited, but in the run up to the nuptials, they have a meeting with their best man and maid of honor, who are a married couple, Rachel, played by Alana Haim, and Mike, played by Mamadou Athie. And they come around to talking about the subject of the worst thing they've ever done. And you get some interesting stories from the friends, and then kind of a weak sauce one from Charlie. And then Emma drops something that ends up being a revelation that not only shakes the core of the friendship, but of this central relationship, leading to a wild, chaotic, dramatic, and difficult week of their wedding. This is going to be something of a controversial film because of the decisions made here by Borgli about the subject matter they're diving into, and even some of the ways it was handled. If you have a particular sensitivity to the issue that they're talking about, that is probably going to rankle you in a very difficult way. If you've watched some of Borgli's short films, which are available, he kind of rides the line of comedy and satire in different issues. For me, some of them work, some of them don't always work. I struggled a little bit with this. I also struggle with the idea that from a personal standpoint, I don't like to be uncomfortable when there are difficult, uncomfortable, awkward, or embarrassing situations on screen. I sort of internalize that and it makes me squirm heavily in my seat. And let's just say I was squirming a lot, covering my eyes, looking at my watch. Those are not necessarily bad things when it comes to a movie like this. This is probably the wildest wedding sequence that I think I have ever seen. And you might think from this description and the cautions I'm giving and talking about the ways in which this really affected me personally, that I'm out on this movie. I am not. I think that is a mark of them hitting on something. And let me go further by saying Pattinson and Zendaya give incredible performances. I was really enamored of what Zendaya was doing even early in the film. The sequence leading up to the big revelation, some of the things she's doing with her face and some of the way that you just can't help but get sucked in are incredible. Very interesting, awkward, and difficult arc for Pattinson. And I actually dearly love the final scene. I was curious to see where this was going to end. And there was a moment where I thought it was going to end that may have been a little less satisfying, but I'm giving this one a thumbs up. And for as much as I personally probably never want to see it again, just because of how uncomfortable it made me, I think that is a reflection of how good a job Bordley does in telling this story. Decidedly not going to be for everyone. Uh, but it is one of the most unique and interesting films of the year so far. And I'm giving it a thumbs up. I have it up there in my top 12 of the year so far. Again, sometimes a great movie isn't one that makes you feel good. And this one certainly did not make me feel good, but the craft, incredible. And the way they put the story together, also incredible. If you're looking for something that might make you feel better or at least make you chuckle, Hulu is offering The Pizza Movie. This one dropped on Friday, a nice streaming film. It focuses on a couple of roommates in college. A couple of roommates in college, played by Gaten Matarazzo and his roommate here. They have you will recognize Matarazzo from Stranger Things. And that was probably going to be the hook. I know that was kind of the hook for me. I knew this was a comedy. I knew it was going to be sort of funny. His roommate, Montgomery, played by Sean Giambroni. He looked familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. I knew that this was not going to be like an incredibly well-known cast. The third lead is Lizzie, played by Lulu Wilson. But it was the story here. When you get these kind of over-the-top college drug-fueled comedies, it's really not the destination that you're concerned about. It's the journey and whether you get pulled into the characters. And these characters have a lot of fun. Daniel Radcliffe pops up in a cameo role that I won't spoil here, but it was a chef's kiss. And I thought there was a lot of fun and funny and meta things here. I think the biggest drawback to this film is I don't know why Hulu did not just wait a couple of weeks and release this on April 20th. That probably would have made it a little more funny. I'm giving this one a thumbs up. I think for this kind of a comedy, they really hit the sweet spot. This is not an exceptional film. It's not going to be in people's top 10s of the year, but if you're just looking for a good time and a little bit of a streaming good time, I found that with Pizza Movie, one of the bigger surprises for me so far this year. I want to talk about a couple of smaller movies that debuted at the South by Southwest Film Festival that doesn't have a distributor yet that you can check out more by visiting their website. One that is in limited release that is expanding. The first is a documentary called Your Attention Please. This one, as I mentioned, debuted at the South by Southwest Film Festival. A very interesting and in-depth documentary that looks at the impact of social media on mental health and safety. It looks at cyberbullying. It looks at the ways that different people are trying to tackle and fight this. One is Kristen Bride, whose son took his life after some cyberbullying, who is fighting for some legislation, trying to make a change. One, Trisha Prabhu, who is a digital native who is trying to work on building a safer, maybe more friendly internet, and the quest that she is going on here. We also look at other places where they have created cell phone free zones in schools to try to protect the mental health and the focus of students. That is something a lot of schools are looking at. I work at a school, we're looking at doing the same, just trying to protect the youth. Workplaces and adults who have even, taken breaks from technology, a technology free day or zone. It really gave me a lot of food for thought. This is not an easy topic. And the film doesn't provide any easy answers because there really aren't any easy answers, but it was interesting to look at the problem, the impacts that it's having kind of on a very broad scale across age groups, but particularly among our young people and teens, and to look at the different ways people are trying to fight and make a difference here. This film does not have a theatrical distribution yet, but you can go to its website, yourattentionplease.com. A great place to go and learn a little bit more about the film, about the fight, about the story. This is definitely worth checking out. I thought this was a fascinating film, again, that made the debut at South by Southwest. I hope it is a documentary that is in the conversation when we get to the end of the year. Last one I'm going to talk about is a German film called Mir Wars Number 3. That is a reference to a piece of music, and this is definitely a different kind of drama. It made some festival debuts in late 2025. It comes from writer-director Christian Petzold, and it features Paula Beer in the lead role as Laura, a music student who is about to go on a trip with her boyfriend, her kind of estranged boyfriend, maybe a boyfriend, maybe not a boyfriend. Their relationship doesn't really get fleshed out even as you go through the film. But she has misgivings, so he offers to take her home. They have a run-in with a lady, Betty, played by Barbara Arr, who lives on kind of a secluded road. And not too long after that, their car careens and crashes. And while Laura is only minorly injured, her boyfriend is killed. And in the aftermath, the authorities are called. Betty, the woman that they saw, had rushed to the scene and had come to Laura's rescue and brought her back to her house. After she's treated, Laura doesn't want to go to the hospital. In fact, she doesn't want to go anywhere. And she asks Betty, essentially a stranger who she's just met, if she can stay there. But there's something about it. They have a connection. Betty says yes, and they spend some time together. Soon, Laura is introduced to Betty's estranged husband, Richard, and her adult son, Max. And it turns out that they have their own family tragedy that they're working through, and the presence of Laura kind of helps them get through that. Different kind of a film, a shade under 90 minutes, so it is not a big commitment. This one has been in limited release and has gone wider this weekend, so if it's playing somewhere near you, worth checking out. Paula Beer has worked with Petzold on his last 4 films. So they have a good back and forth working relationship. There are a few actors in this film that have actually worked on Petzold films in the past. He is a unique kind of filmmaker. And when you get these different kind of films from different kind of cultures, there were parts of it that seemed a little, I guess, unbelievable to me. But I am not somebody who goes out and makes a lot of friends with my neighbors. So I think if a stranger had asked to stay at my house, I might have had a different reaction. But when you get past that premise and you get into how the story unfolds and what it means to these characters, it ends up being quite moving and enjoyable. I give this one a thumbs up. I probably forgot to mention Your Attention Please. I obviously gave a big thumbs up as well. So I really liked the movies we got this week. Super Mario Galaxy movie probably, it's not aimed at me. And I did not think it was incredible, but I think it's going to work very well for its audience. 5 very unique and very diverse kind of films that I looked at this week. And so no matter what you're in the mood for or looking for, there are a lot of different options. So I hope you get out there and you find something that speaks to you. I will be back next week. A lot of interesting and different options. We get a new take on Hamlet that's going wide. We have a romantic comedy that is going wide. And I will also have an advanced look at a movie that's going wide this summer that is playing at a film festival in Boulder that I had a chance to check out. So looking forward to talking about that next week. I will also start doing some summer movie preview stuff next week. I'm going to do my summer movie preview, the part one, looking at 5 films from May and June that I'm excited to see. And the following week, I will look at 5 films from July and August that I'm excited to see. So looking forward to diving into all that. Until then, we'll see you at the movies.